Hey folks, it's Maxwell here. Welcome to a brand new TW9 video. It's the first one in a little while for me anyway. I think it took maybe 3 weeks to get to this full gear pay-per-view, but obviously it's just a week on from the last video going live on the channel. It was probably the first time it was quite a big gap between pay-per-views. Meanwhile, beforehand it was kind of like every 3-4 weeks, and it is pretty much, I think it is actually the 31st, if I'm right in saying, of December for my World's End pay-per-view. And tonight's show basically gets us on the way to that show. I decided to run the Continental Classic a lot earlier, so I could have a lot more matches. So tonight, basically, a lot of the groups are kind of decided, so the matches are set up for World's End. I think they're World's End, World's Clay, it always confuses me. World's End. And then, obviously, we get the finals there, all the Continental Classics, the men's, the women's, the tag team, and the women's tag team one as well. So looking forward to that one. It's historically been a good event for me. You can see here back in 2025 was the first one. That was my first real high score, I think, with a 90 who had the main event there of Kenny Omega retaining the Continental Championship against Swerve Strickland. Oh, I miss him. Can we get him back at one point, please? And the American Dragon, our user character, for the Continental Championship. We had Mercedes defeat Toni Storm and Io Shirai to win the Women's Championship. Did I even have the men's on the line? That is a question. We did Hangman beating Mox to retain it in the opening contest. Look at that. Will Ospreay, Kyle Fletcher with an 80 back then. But if we move it forward, last year's event saw Okada defeat Hangman and Jay White to win the championship. So that was pretty good there with 95. Mark Briscoe beating Roman in an 88. Wow, interesting. And then 2027 saw a 99 main event, 100 rated show with Swerve over Kenny in the main event. I think that was basically a lot of the probably survivalist fittest matches, I'd imagine, because obviously none of these are championship matches, they would say. So that makes me think that. I hope it is. I had one there, Anthony Bones defeating Wheeler Yuta. That certainly wouldn't get a 71 now. But anyway, we'll move on to the night show. We'll explain obviously what's went down with each match as it happens. I say most of it's basically been tournament play and deciding matches. I've been lucky that a lot of them have ended up, the two top contenders have not faced each other in the way I've managed to book it out, so that's been good. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm excited for it, but I'm intrigued to see how we go along. So 4 unhappy wrestlers with the outcomes, but you've got to book new stars, and we'll have to deal with that morale after it. So let's do it. Let's jump straight in, I believe, to a World Championship match. Let's do it. So we're sold out here at Arthur Ashe Stadium, 23,771 in attendance. We are actually missing our lead commentator, Shima. He is working with Gleet because he owns them. So yeah, we've had to draft in one of our many steals from WWE, Vic Joseph. So it's going to be him, Excalibur, and Chris Jericho on the call. Basically, Vic Joseph has the highest lead commentary stat with a 79. Excalibur has a 73, but it's a very high colour commentary stat, so that's why he's in there. Jericho's is like an 88. Obviously, historically, I've been using Mauro Ranallo, but he's dropped to a 76, so obviously with age, his went down. So, a couple of angles in the show. It is mostly matches as per the usual, but we'll explain it as it goes along. So I felt like we'd open the show with an over-the-top entrance for your AEW World Champion. This is, of course, Swerve Strickland. 83 for this segment. We gave it the angle idea as well. And of course, him and Prince Nana have good chemistry. This is Walter's opportunity to take that championship back from Swerve Strickland. He's had issues with all of his stablemates, the likes of Pete Dunne and Axel Dieter Jr. And how are they going to kick us off? If it actually wants to hit next segment, please. Thank you. And I'd say that's a pretty good opener. So we had an exceptional match here. Swerve Strickland defeating Walter in 25-32 by pinfall with a Swerve Stomp. So no matter what Walter does, he can't get that championship from Swerve Strickland. And it is the third defence of the AEW World Championship for Swerve. I'd say get it back. Walter's not even won it yet. It was Rush that had it beforehand, but Walter just can't get his hands on it despite the use of his stablemates. So a 91 for this one overall. Pretty good stuff there. 92 for Swerve, 87 for Walter. Walter's starting to get back into the groove now after that year-long injury he had, and obviously it is affecting him a little bit physically. But a pretty good opener. And yeah, just shows the standard of the show that we can put that as our opener. But we do have a lot of kind of stars where they're kind of like still breaking through, still developing, so there will be some you would maybe be surprised to see tonight. Speaking of two, this was the Shimmer bracket for the Women's Tag Team Continental Classic, which saw us have TJ battle Roxy and Nikita Knight to see who would end up victorious. So it was a decent matchup. TJ defeats Roxy and Nikita Knight in 13:53 when Anna Jay pinned Nikita with a scissors kick. So yeah, 70 for this one. Roxy off her game was a bit disappointing. I feel like I really need to start pushing through with TJ. Of course, this happens literally as I think we're about to get the Nyara Conte or T-Mello, release from AEW, which is a shame, but I think she's one where she came into WWE, it wasn't really much expectations on her. I think she turned into a decent athlete, but if she wishes to step away for wrestling, all the best. You know what I mean? You get one career, and obviously she's a mother as well, so if she wants to go and feel her time would be obviously wanting to spend a lot more time with her kid rather than wrestling, that's absolutely understandable. Like, fair play. I can't argue with that at all. So, in this instance, I feel Roxy can go over on her own. I feel Nikita Knight has got enough people wanting to put her over. They can go over on their own. And Anna Jay and T-Mello, they can both develop in game, I feel, as a tag team, so they'll progress to that final. And we'll find out later on who they'll be facing. I needed a wild brawl, so we've given it to Austin Creed and Mark Davis. Mark Davis wants his TNT Championship back, so these two will go at it in a rematch. Good wild brawl. It's not, it doesn't suit Austin Creed, but it certainly suits Mark Davis. And Creed wins in 14:45 with a hammerlock DDT. Second defense, a 75. I think if these two had a regular matchup, it probably would score a lot higher, but I need a wild brawl matchup, and I know Mark Davis can certainly pull that off. So yeah, pretty happy with that. Next up, after a long injury, AJ Styles is back. And he has had a little bit of an issue with Ricochet, who basically has been saying, I don't think you can hack it anymore. But AJ defeats Ricochet in 14:03 with the phenomenal forearm. And this match was designed to tell a specific story. So this one, because I wasn't sure how AJ would score in terms of in-ring performance, but the 74 is still pretty decent. Ricochet with an 84. And an 80 is pretty good overall. After it, however, if it actually wants to click, thank you, third time of asking. So I had Ricochet beat down AJ after the matchup, who then in turn is saved by the returning to the company John Cena, who was away filming something. This is how fictional this save has went. Everybody and anybody's here. I mean, if we get John Cena and Roman Reigns in AEW, that tells you your own story. But Ricochet has a friend, and that friend is Ua Nation, and he takes him out, and he will side alongside his friend, Ricochet. So the actual plan was to go face with Ricochet, but I felt like when the opportunity to sign Ua Nation became available, I felt like, we can pair the two of them up. AJ came back from injury. I felt like that could be a good feud. I can do a kind of play on the feud that these two had before, and they've became good friends out of it, and they can help maybe with some of the stats that maybe Ricochet and Ua don't have in terms of maybe charisma and microphone. But 83, pretty happy with that one. Because Ua Nation had signed, I'd had them up some matches, so it was kind of like he was having a match in each brand. They hadn't been assigned to one yet, and that was a nice wee place to put him in alongside Ricochet. Okay, this one was very good. So both my Women's Championship matches tonight are triple threats. Basically, different stories with both. This one was a matchup between Io Shirai and Delta, become Izumi's #1 contender. They had a time limit draw, so well, that's a good way to get a triple threat. So we had had superb wrestling and great heat. Izumi defeated Delta and Io Shirai in 25:14 when Izumi pinned Delta with a diving crossbody, and it gives her the 8th defense of the Women's Championship title. 90 for the wrestling in a 90 segment. All ladies run about 90, although penalised by the lack of psychology. So the interesting one with this, it was always going to be Izumi winning, but it was going to be over Io, because Io is very giving and putting people over. And I'm still trying to establish Izumi as a top level in terms of popularity and, of course, the prestige of the Women's Championship. However, Delta was unhappy, even though I was having Io lose. I didn't want to protect Delta, so then I thought, screw you, Delta, you're just taking the fall for your shite. So Izumi wins, Delta takes the fall, and a very good Women's Championship match. I'll deal with her morale at one point. But yeah, delighted with that one. Next up, we had the Ring of Honor Continental Classic decisive match. And it was a superb matchup that saw Chaz Betts defeat Hook in 17:49 with the ankle lock submission. So in 79 for this one, 84 and 78, 81 and 88 for the performances. What's the negatives here? Segment was penalised for odd face heel combination. Oh, that's right, Hooksy. I keep forgetting Hooksy heel in this universe. So that's why. But yeah, I was intrigued by Hook because I don't feel his stats are particularly great. His brought-in's good, but the rest in terms of the technical side isn't great. Just the actual wrestling part. But it allows him more time to develop, obviously putting him with these kind of wrestlers. And then Chaz Betts, alongside the reigning and defending champion Andrade, will be two of the participants in the last four. In fact, those two will face each other in the semi-final at World's End. But who will be the other two competitors? Well, I can confirm one of them, because Pac had already qualified before tonight. So it's Chaz Betts, Andrade, El Idolo, Pac winning the Collision group quite comfortably, and we'll find out that fourth participant later tonight. On to the Shimmer groups for the Continental Classic, and a superb matchup. Saw Starlight Kid defeat King Kota in 18:13 by pinfall with the Shirinu. This match was obviously in that tournament. She got a 75 out of King Kota, which is very good, and a 93 from Starlight, giving these two an 87. It's obviously the best match in King Kota's career, but really good, and Starlight Kid will take her place in the final. I realised as well, there's two angles I could have had in this pay-per-view, and I've kind of went a dint of time because of matches, so I'll have to do them on television. But it's good that at least it's leading up to stuff. Anyway, back to now to the Tag Team Classic. That's how many tournaments I've got. And it was the top two in the Ring of Honor group facing off against each other. And it was about they had some good wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd, as FTR defeated Top Flight in 17:44 when Cash Wheeler defeated Dante Martin with the Shatter Machine. I knew no matter what I did, Dax Harwood was not put them over. So I was like, cool, that's fine, we'll just put FTR into the final from Ring of Honor. Top Flight will benefit from obviously all the victories I've had on ROH. And yeah, 81 is a pretty decent result. I'm good to know that there's been no penalties for the announced teams, so that's good. But once you see who FTR are up against, hopefully we should be in a good place. Next up was the Shine side of the Women's Tag Team Classic. I didn't want to put two matches next to each other, so everything's a wee bit all over the place. Decent matchup, and I opted to go with the youngsters here. I need to get a tag team name for them, admittedly, but I felt like the Brawling Birds I've actually put together in this one because Jamie was kind of just always floating about and never really much for Alex, so I thought let's put them together, maybe it can benefit Alex. But Millie and Billy defeat the Brawling Birds in 14:08 when Billy pinned Alex Windsor. This was our storytelling matchup. In terms of in-ring, 78 Jamie, 59 Alex, who've got great chemistry, which is good because I don't think that Brawling Birds, well, they wouldn't have been a thing in this before the save started, so that's good to see. 69 Billy, 53 for Millie, of course. They've got plenty of time to develop. So yeah, the Continental Classic Women's Tag Team Final is going to be Billy Starks and Millie McKenzie versus Anna Jay and Tay Mello. Hopefully pushing more of their division. 74. This one was in the Continental Classic for the Dynamite bracket, in the tag one, and it was about had superb wrestling and great heat, and the Young Bucks defeated the team of Bandido and Mystico in 25:10 when Matt Jackson pinned Bandido with a Tony Khan driver. I made this epic. I thought it was going to be sensational. Matt Jackson was a weak link as an 82. The match suffered massively from a lack of psychology, which I think is an epic, probably penalises it a bit more. And Matt Jackson's getting a little bit stale. So the reason the Bucks went over, I knew that Mystico would take the huff. So I can still go FTR, Young Bucks, one other team in my Continental Classic tag final. And then it means that I can obviously, if I feel I don't want to go with Bandido and Mystico as a tag team, I can split them. Mystico's over as hell. The problem with Bandido is he's pop capped at 72, and I can't get him to change any star quality or sex appeal, so he's kind of stuck at that. But he's still putting in great performances. I think If you have psychology in this one, this is easily maybe even a 93 or a 94, but still, not bad. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. So next up, we have an injury. But this one was for the AEW Women's World Championship. Mercedes Moné will always have issue with Willow Nightingale, but in this instance we're going to have a little bit of an issue with both the tag champs taking on Mercedes in triple threat competition. About they had some great heat and good wrestling. Mercedes defeats Willow Nightingale and Kris Statlander in 23:50 when Mercedes pinned Willow. I gave this one a chance to be an epic as well. It gave Mercedes her second title defence. She had a 90. Disappointingly though, we could only get Willow and Stat up to a 69 and 67 respectively. I was hoping we could start to really push them on, but I just don't feel the core wrestling skills in this one are quite up there. So we can hope they can keep developing. So their ratings, Mercedes sustaining the cracked ribs, which means she'll have a pretty light December before she'll have to defend the belt probably at World's End. Caesars get a 77, so I'll be intrigued to see how long her injury is. And Willow got some heat as well. Next up, and about that had some good wrestling and a decent action from the crowd. The Lucha Brothers defeated Private Party in 15:29. Ray Phoenix pinned Mark Quinn with an assisted Fear Factor. This was our Steal the Show matchup, and this was the Collision Tag Team Continental Classic Tournament decider. There was a temptation to go with Private Party, and I was like, I just felt Private Party, are they quite in the level of the Young Bucks and FTR? I don't think so. The Lucha Bros going with the Young Bucks and FTR, that could be a proper clash of like the early AEW teams, and it could be really, really good. So I want to go with that one. And I might just make it TLC just for the hell of it. We'll see how it goes. But overall, 81, that's fine. It gives me a bit more time to really push Private Party and get them over, get everything together. You lose a few points as well for this one because babyface versus babyface. But yeah, I feel this tournament was kind of good to get them at least positive momentum as well because they were a bit lacking in that. Next up, in the men's Continental Classic Dynamite group, it was Kyle Fletcher versus Bronson Steiner. Two heels against each other. And in this one, it was about had sensational wrestling, fantastic heat, and Kyle Fletcher defeats Bronson Steiner in 24:49 with the Grimstone. I mean, come on, look at the thumbnail for the video. If that wasn't the biggest hint ever, then I don't know what was. But made it an epic, really gave him an opportunity. This was the one where Bronson Steiner was very unhappy because Kyle's pop capped about 84, and Steiner's getting better and better in terms of popularity, but obviously Kyle can make up for a bit in ring. So I think a few factors here. If you have babyface versus heel, I think if you had some psychology, this could have cracked very close to 100, I think. But delighted with that one. I'm assuming you'll get a babyface Kyle Fletcher run at one point. A long, long time away though, admittedly. But yeah, delighted with that one. So that means that is your 4 participants for World's End. Andrade El Idolo, the reigning Continental Champion, obviously gets a bye to the semi-finals. We've got Chaz Betts, Kyle Fletcher, and the Bastard Pack. So they all stand various places in the arena, showcasing that they're going to be the person or the man that wins the Continental Classic. Oh no, this one flopped. Wow. So in the women's side from the Shine Group for the Continental Classic, it was Stephanie Vicura and Julia. The pair matchup, Stephanie defeats Julia in 26-24 with a 3.29. This again was given the chance to be an epic because I just feel like Spectacle was asking for too much and I just like it was an epic at this point. So yeah, Stephanie wins it, 80 for the wrestling, 84 crowd, 79 segment. When you get a combination of they don't click and it makes an awkward bout because it's a first time match, and Stephanie really off her game. I feel like if I was testing everything on house shows, it would just take far too long. So yeah, shame for that one, but it does mean we're going to have a mega matchup at World's End. It's going to be Stephanie Vicure versus Starlight Kid for the Women's Continental Classic. Oh, I'm so gutted that one didn't go well. Oh well, may they never face each other again. But if I'm right in saying, it should be main event time. We'll have the stare down first, so they get an 87. Stephanie versus Starlight Kid. That should be good. So AEW World Championship is back on the line. Or AEW Championship, sorry. Can Will Ospreay take it back from Switchblade Jay White? We've cracked a 100. Yes, boys. Number 2 of the save. This one has been an absolutely fantastic feud to book week by week on television. In an exceptional matchup, Jay White defeats Will Ospreay in 28-01 with the Blade Runner following interference from Ace Austin, one of the Switchblade Conspiracy. This gives Switchblade his first defence of the AEW Championship since they won it. 94 for the wrestling, 91 for the crowd, 100 segment, great chemistry, creative finish, perfect across all accounts. And we finished the show. And I didn't even epic that. I just made that a regular match. That's crazy. With Ace Austin, Jay White, and Nick Wayne of the Switchblade Conspiracy beating down Will Ospreay before Kenny Omega makes his return to make the save for Will, which only is a 79. The angle was a success here. The angle idea and Ace Austin is getting a little bit stale. I'm going to give you away a few matches that you're going to see at World's End. You're going to see the AEW World Championship on the line in a fatal 4-way. In the next couple of weeks on television, I'll be booking obviously off the video. We're going to see Jay White, it'll be Will Ospreay, it'll be Kenny Omega, if you're going to properly New Japan it, versus Kazuchika Okada. That should be amazing. We've obviously got the 100 show thanks to the 100 main event and all the good angles, plus the boosts that you would get from the band and a special set. So overall, delighted with that one. I didn't expect Jay and Will to actually get 100. I thought maybe mid-90s would have been fine. But yeah, just 48 more to go. And I will get this damn achievement. That's my aim. Might take me a while though. So yeah, delighted with that one. Lots of stuff there to cover. So I'm just going to quickly run through what you're going to see at the next video. So you get an idea. I just need to make sure everybody's ready for it. So that main event matchup I've told you about. You're going to see Stephanie Vancouver versus Starlight Kid in the Women's Continental Classic. You are going to have Andrade, Chaz Betts, Kyle Fletcher and Pac in the men's semi-finals and the finals. We're going to see the Lucha Bros, FTR and Young Bucks in the men's tag team one. And they'll probably do battle in a gimmick match, either a ladder or a TLC. You're going to see Millie McKenzie and Billy Starks take on TJ in the women's tag team. You're also going to see a tag team matchup between AJ Styles and John Cena versus Ricochet and Uwa Nation. Everything else, I've still to decide. Although I have a rough idea who Swerve Strickland might be facing at the next pay-per-view, baby. But yeah, take it easy. See you all real soon. Have a good one. Bye-bye.